talk about some updates on Tesla. We spoke to the company. There's updates on a couple of questions we had. I just want to jump right into it. This is a Not Even Wrong podcast. It's February 5th, 2021. This is Krim Delco. For the day, the fund is up 20 basis points. The market's up 40 basis points. For the year, we're up 23.5%. The market's up 3.5%. We're outperforming by 20%. We spoke with Tesla today, and we touched upon a few things, and I want to discuss them. So today's more of a transactional episode, which is giving an update on our thesis and on some of the questions we have around Tesla, which are on top of all the questions that the company answered in the earnings call and the interviews that Elon Musk gave subsequently. So first question was about the statement that CFO Zach Kirkhorn gave. He said that we strive to have industry-leading margins. The question was, which industry are we talking about? Car industry, software industry? What exactly are you trying to achieve with this statement? The answer was that Tesla looks at the margin guidance in the following way. Tesla wants to be an industry-leading automotive manufacturer, energy storage manufacturer, and solar manufacturer. So those three businesses are combined. I call this the industrial part of Tesla. So in the industrial part, they want to have double-digit operating margins. And then on top of that, there is all the other stuff, in particular, full self-drive, software revenue, supercharging revenue. You can dream up any other kind of revenue. So that is all on top of the double-digit margins that Tesla is managing the company after. So what that means is that when the company starts new projects, when new projects are being developed, when new projects are being priced, when new projects are being analyzed, it is always the industrial margin has to be such that the company as a whole in the long term can go towards double-digit operating margins, which is a very, very good margin for an industrial company. This also implies very good cash flows, because if you have double-digit operating margins as an industrial company, then you will have probably more like 20% cash flow, operating cash flow margins, and therefore that is plenty of money that you can then spend back into investments and those things. So this was the first question, which I think was answered to our satisfaction. We then asked, what is the risk of Chinese disruption? It's a topic that we discussed several times on this podcast. We have a Clayton Christensen view of the world, that is that companies can come from below and then creep up and disrupt the market from the low end. Tesla did that kind of in sort of a way with their cars. They came not from the low end they obviously came with very high-end cars, but they came into a segment of the market which wasn't served by the OEMs, and then crept up and took away their market share. So can the same happen with Chinese? We particularly are concerned about the Chinese, but they could be Korean, they could be even European. So what we're talking about here is something like BYD, for example, comes with an LFP battery, which is much cheaper, low end, sells a car for $15,000, but then creeps up and becomes actually really good at selling cars, and lo and behold, starts taking market share away from Tesla. The answer to that question was, well, Tesla is a company which is organized and run around rapid innovation. So this is always the mantra of Tesla, rapid innovation, and always be ahead of competition, no matter where it's coming from, the top, the middle, or below. So this was kind of a generic answer that I think we hear from Elon Musk and others in the same way. Another part of the answer was that because of vertical integration, Tesla has a big advantage, and that pretty much every other player that is known in the market right now is a horizontal company. So they use tier 1, tier 2 suppliers to fulfill their mission, versus Tesla is fully integrated, and that is the advantage that Tesla has. So if you can improve by a few percent on each part of the value chain, and you own the whole value chain, your whole improvement can add up to 20-30% better efficiency, etc., and therefore you can actually be better. And here's a very good example of what we're talking about here. So there has been some news in the last couple of days that the new LFP, lithium iron phosphate battery, that was supplied by CATL and used in the made in China Model 3s, that battery has certain shortcomings. And there has been some extensive research done. Actually, Next Move, a German rental car company, has also a very popular video channel that shows very extensive tests around the MIG LFP battery, which was delivered to Europe in the, let's say, last couple of months. And the problem with the battery is that it has certain positives and certain negatives, and the negatives are upsetting customers. Without going too much into technical details, the problem with the battery is that in cold weather, you have slower charging speeds and you have less range than is advertised. And the car, the car management system gives you very, how should I say, the data that you have, let's say, how much range do I have left? How fast am I charging? How much am I charging? Those types of questions are not very well answered. So the precision is not there because the LFP batteries are relatively new. The voltage in the batteries is different than in the old batteries, and the battery management software is not very good at actually capturing all the information and translating it into a user-friendly information. So what this all translates into is, first and foremost, people are upset. There is backlash against Tesla. There are bad social media comments, etc., etc. But more importantly, I think Tesla is iterating here. Tesla is going after a market which is LFP has been produced primarily by cattle for BYD for low-end Chinese cars. Tesla is jumping on that bandwagon and trying to use those lower battery chemistries for their cars. And with software, hopefully, they're able to mitigate some of the problems and actually make a much better car at lower price. Actually, the gentleman at Next Move even made a joke. He said that Tesla is so well priced that it should be called Folks Tesla. So because it's really very well priced. So what I'm trying to say here is this is a very good example of Tesla going after the low end of the market and trying to improve, iterate, and get better. And of course, we could argue about the way they're doing it. Maybe they shouldn't use real customers in Germany for that, but that's a whole other conversation.
This issue with LFP and the made in China Model 3s with this new chemistry, it just illustrates how iteration and fast growth and the the question of how can we improve continuously, how that, it sounds very easy theoretically, but it's really, really difficult in practice, particularly when you make real products, when you have you don't have this luxury of beta versions with software where you can just upload a new software. But nevertheless, we're very positive about this. Next question that we attacked was the question of QuantumScape and the question, listen, what is going on here? There's a company which is projecting some breakthrough and sort of a disruption of the industry when in fact you, meaning Tesla, you are projecting very similar goals. And more importantly, you're actually doing it right now. You're not waiting 5 to 6 years. And the answer was kind of along the lines. First of all, we were surprised that they didn't even know the exact projections and presentations that QuantumScape made. So in a nutshell, it looks like the company is not terribly concerned or interested in what's going on there, which you could argue is a bad thing because that means they're complacent or they maybe are not interested. They said that, look, we're not interested in any kind of breakthrough which is X plus 3, 4 years away from now. So meaning more than even 3 plus years. Because we have to deliver now. We have to make millions of cars in a couple of years. We don't have time to wait. We're going to iterate and improve on our own architecture. We can't wait. And it just makes us believe that this, which has been our suspicion all along, that the QuantumScape situation, in our view, is a little bit of a, I don't want to call it a hoax, but it's definitely overselling a potential that it looks like is not there. We're not in a place here. This is not a short selling podcast or anything like that. So let's not go there. We don't want to call on companies and say they are overselling themselves. But as we have a large position in Tesla, it is our job to make sure we understand very clearly what is going on the competitive side. That leads us to the next question, which was Volkswagen. Volkswagen claims to outsell Tesla in Europe. and we asked, is this a real competition? How should we think about this? The answer was that first and foremost, Volkswagen is lowering the price because they don't need to make money on their electric vehicles because of the credits that they get against their CO2 emissions. So there is a regulatory problem in Europe that we think is actually a big problem, and this supports our thesis that regulation around subsidies and credits actually in the long run is not good for Tesla. Yes, it's good. The ZEV credits are great for Tesla in terms of cash flow, but it is also kind of distorting the market and therefore not good. But this kind of answers the question. Tesla considers Volkswagen not a viable competitor because the quality of the cars, software and hardware is not up to par. This is the answer. It's up to the market to decide. We haven't been to Europe for almost 2 years now, so we don't know what the perception is in Europe. I think in Germany, of course, people believe in Volkswagen as a brand, and they will follow in the tracks of Volkswagen and buy the cars. But I think in the end, the Tesla cars, just the cars themselves, are so much better that we believe that the competitive threat is negligible. And then we have all the other stuff, the brand strength and the software, which I think should take care of competition. Another very interesting question was about solar. Now we're jumping to the next business, solar business. The question there was, okay, what is actually going on with solar? Why isn't it picking up? Why is solar not a leading business segment for Tesla, since a lot of other solar companies are doing very well? And the answer was, we are not there with the cost structure. This echoes what Zach Kirkhorn said on the call, which is we are not there. Now we got a bit more clarity of what that actually means. The solar roof, as it is right now, is not profitable. The solar roof needs more iteration around installation. It needs more iteration around technology installation in particular. So there's too much bespoke manpower consuming work to be done. It's not scalable at this point. So I think what this means is that the product itself is superior. Tesla doesn't want to push solar at any price, so they're not doing the conventional solar at the high growth rates that others are doing. They want to push their new product, which is the solar roof, but they're not there yet with the cost structures. This is the main reason why solar is not picking up right now. And therefore, we have to wait. I said, what does this mean? Are we talking 1 or 2 years? He said, definitely less than 2 years. So the problem with solar here is, and I think this is a more general point to be made about high growth disruptive companies, is you have a product and the product is very good. It's disrupting, but you don't have the cost structure to attack the current market. So you need to adjust the cost structure. There is a certain inflection point you need to reach between having volumes which lower the cost, but having also the cost structure, even regardless of volumes, just to be able to grow. So this is kind of where Tesla is right now. We don't have a lot of clarity on what it actually means, but the way I understand it is it's in particular the whole value chain from order to installation needs to be improved. People have to be trained. There have to be, let's say, processes have to be in place where the wiring has to be done this way versus that way, so you can improve speed and scalability. In the end, Tesla is interested in scalable business. We believe that solar business is a lot more important than the market attributes to, because in the end, the mission of Tesla is to decarbonize energy. I mean, that's not the stated mission, but this is the way we see it. In order to decarbonize energy, solar has to play a big role. Solar has to help Tesla in regenerative growth, which is another one of our themes, regenerative growth, which is generating growth by using at least not more, if not actually less resources. So the growth itself creates resources in a sense that if you have photon power transportation, you are not using resources on Earth, you are using resources directly from the sun, which is a part of the theme of regenerative growth. So we believe that solar is important. We don't want to give up on it. We don't want to treat it like, it's just that bad cousin in the company. No, solar is a critical part of the mission of Tesla, and the cost structure is not there. So this is another lever, another vector that hopefully will kick in the next 12 to 18 months and become a real part of the business. The same applies, which is the next discussion point, to the energy business. The energy business, like discussed in the conference call, is not picking up because the company is battery constrained. And here's what's going on with batteries, and this is another discussion point. Also, I want to mix them together. So Tesla has the 4680 battery architecture, which is going to be the architecture on which Tesla is building. The reason this is better is because it is lowering the cost, increasing efficiency, and also increasing capital efficiency. This is the fundamental reason why 4680 is being implemented. It's also, like Drew Balino said, you can bring the sort of the, not Moore's law, but whatever the law is of lowering the cost and increasing capacity in batteries, you can accelerate that curve with 4680. Tesla is banking on that for the products that will require more efficient batteries, such as Semi and Cybertruck and energy storage. The reason these products require more energy efficient batteries is because the margins are not there with the existing battery packs. So meaning you're basically packaging a certain battery into a product and selling it. And if you do it with a Model S Plaid, you have enough margin left to make money, even though you have maybe a 120 kilowatt battery, because the car itself is 120,000. The same does not apply to the semi truck and the Cybertruck. Semi and Cybertruck need to have better battery architectures to be profitable, and the same applies for the Powerwall. So what Tesla is doing is they're going to start with the products that need the most efficient battery technology, and then sort of go down the chain and replace the existing battery technology slowly but surely with the new one as volume ramps up. That's why, in the words of Elon Musk, they said we need all the batteries, because while they're replacing the less efficient batteries with the new batteries, they will use the existing battery architectures for the more efficient, for the products where they can live with these less efficient batteries, such as the higher margin cars, Model S Plaid, Model X Plaid, and Model Y in particular, and then also Model 3. Having said that, we also discussed just a few minutes ago that with the LFP, they're trying also to come from the low end with existing architectures and try to improve with software to make those viable for the low end cars. So Tesla is trying to change the battery architecture, trying to change the battery architecture and software and powertrain combination in a way so they can increase the volumes of batteries because they are battery constrained. This is the fundamental takeaway from this call. So to summarize, we had a call with Tesla. We reiterated our thesis on Tesla, that Tesla is about manufacturing, about scalable volume manufacturing. We learned in particular two things. Number one, that um, the margin guidance is for operating margins, double digit for the automotive industrial business, X software. This is important. And we also learned that the solar business is going to become a critical part of the business, but that it's going to take some time because the cost structure is not there, and that we're talking maybe 12 to 18 months. Thank you.